Hey everybody, it's Tom at Peak Resilient, and today I just want to quickly go over some of the myths and the misinformation surrounding the metabolism. Now, personally, I feel like it's the ladies, the women, and the mums that get absolutely driven down this endless cycle of trying to lose weight, put it back on, they lose weight, they put it back on, they lose weight, they put it back on, and then they're just fed so much BS about what the metabolism actually is and how they can drink certain drinks to boost the metabolism, and they should be on this kind of diet to try and increase the metabolism so that they can get to where they want to be, and they just end up yo-yoing absolutely forever. And it's a common thing. I thought like this sort of thing would have been well and truly pushed out the window now, but it's just a common thing, and I see it too many times. So I'm not going to keep you waiting. I'm basically just going to give you the information of what you actually need to know. I'm just going to keep it absolutely basic. So basically, your metabolism is the chemical reaction that changes food into energy, and then that energy is what's used for every single thing in your body. It's like every single daily process that you guys go through: moving, thinking, getting up and down, growing, changing. All these sort of things is what is used. You know, when your metabolism is what converts the food into energy, and then that's what is the driven factor into doing all these bodily movements. And one thing that is not explained or goes along with this, any information that I haven't found anywhere, especially in the magazines and TV, is that your metabolism is actually, you actually use 80% of your calories just from your daily activities, just going about your general day, just what it actually takes to function your body, just to keep you alive and moving around and getting up and down and just doing your basic things. That is 80% of your calories. Okay, so if you want to increase your metabolism, just like absolute, like the bare bones of it, is just do more during the day. Just do more, have a more active lifestyle in between. Try and stand at your desk, move around a little bit more, get up and down a little bit more, add a little bit of extra walking into your day in intervals and stuff like that. Just like adding these little bits of extra things in is actually going to increase your metabolism anyway. So one of the biggest like things around metabolism is that people seem to think that somebody really like petite, small, skinny versus somebody really quite overweight, a bit chunky, a bit heftier and stuff like that, a bit bigger, the lighter person is actually going to have the faster metabolism, and they seem to think that that is why the metabolism is that fast. Then it just burns off all the calories and they can't do anything with it and they can't make any weight. Well, actually, if you stood these people next to each other, this is what confuses a lot of people. The bigger person is actually going to have the faster metabolism because it actually requires more caloric need to have this person functioning and moving around because they are a lot bigger. So the lighter person is actually going to have the slower metabolism out of the two people. And I know that's quite confusing because we're always fed like the skinnier people and the really light and petite people actually have a faster metabolism because they struggle to put on weight, which to some degree is right, but the actual bigger person is going to have the faster metabolism because they are a lot bigger. It requires actual more caloric and more energy to actually for this person just to walk down the street. So they're actually going to have a slightly higher metabolism. And the other side of this though is if you were to have two people exactly the same height, exactly the same weight, but one was 100 kilos in muscle and the other person was 100 kilos, but majority of that was fat, then even though they're exactly the same height and same weight, the actual person with the 100 kilos of muscle is going to have a faster metabolism. This is because muscle is metabolically active. Okay, it actually requires some food. It actually requires caloric need and energy just for you to move it. It requires it to be rebuilt and stuff like that. Whereas fat just lays dormant. It doesn't really require everything. Okay, so there's just one sort of like misconception and a little bit of a myth around the metabolism. Just because you're light and skinny and really thin and struggle to put on weight does not mean that you've got a faster metabolism than somebody that is overweight, because the misconception is that they have a slow metabolism. That's absolutely not true. They're actually going to have quite a fast metabolism, but it's just because they're overeating and not expending them extra calories, okay, which is why they've ended up gaining weight. Now, while there is not a lot that you can actually do to like really increase your metabolism just like that, like there's no special drink or food or anything like that that can absolutely just boost your metabolism, there are things that we should be doing that will try and increase it. So first off, to note that if you're in a constant calorie deficit versus a calorie surplus, the calorie deficit basically means that you're going to be catabolic. Catabolic basically means you're breaking everything down. Anabolic means that you're building things up. So ideally you want to be in an anabolic state because you're going to be building things up. You're going to build muscle mass, and having the higher amount of muscle mass is actually what's going to give you a little bit of a faster metabolism, okay? So you want to try and not be in a calorie deficit all of the time, especially if you've got very little muscle mass, because it will end up putting you in a worse state later on down the line. So if you stay in a calorie deficit, You want to lose weight, which is absolutely correct. You should actually be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. But let's just say that you're in a calorie deficit, you do a load of cardio, you just do circuit classes and things like that, but you will actually lose weight. But along with this being in that catabolic state, you're not only going to burn fat, you're actually going to break down muscle as well. And as we've previously mentioned, muscle is metabolically active. It actually requires some form of calories to maintain it. So if you break down that muscle, so say if your muscle mass is here and this is where your metabolism is at, when you've done your diet and you've done all your cardio and you've done all your classes and you've broken down your weight, even though your weight is lower, you've also broken down your muscle mass, which means your metabolism is actually going to be lower. So when you end this diet and you end this workout program, you're going to be at a lower metabolic rate, which means it's going to be so much easier to put weight back on, and which is why people end up yo-yoing every single time. They do this huge diet, they crash it out for 12 weeks, they lose loads of weight, which is absolutely great because you should be lighter, but they've also lost all that muscle mass as well, which puts them at a lower metabolic rate, which means it's so much easier to put weight on afterwards. And that is just the endless cycle that I constantly see. So what I recommend to you guys is that we don't always focus on the calorie deficit, especially if you have very little muscle mass to begin with. Okay? You should always be focusing to build more muscle and get stronger. All these things are going to increase your metabolism. So going back to the new lifters, if you are a brand new lifter, but you are a little bit overweight and you want to lose some weight, you need to keep out this mindset, especially the ladies and the mums out there. You need to keep out this mindset of just thinking, I need to drop all this weight. You do need to drop weight, but what you need to focus on first is building some muscle mass. That is the first and foremost thing. If you came to me as a client, this is what I tell my clients as well. If you come to me, we're going to build some muscle. If you've never done it before, we're going to strength train, we're going to build some muscle, we're going to get some kettlebells out, we're going to do some conditioning work, and we're going to try and build more muscle mass. We're not going to focus too much on the calorie deficit. We're going to try and just maintain what we've got, and we're going to try and get in an anabolic state to try and increase our metabolism, okay? And what I recommend that you do along with this is that you just do not focus on the calories. You focus on eating clean, eating higher protein, a lot of fresh, clean protein, staying away from a lot of sugary drinks, staying away from liquid calories, staying away from all your heavily processed foods. Just eating a clean diet is going to absolutely change everything anyway. So if you can just focus on eating a lot more meats, a lot more cleaner diets, and a lot more eggs and stuff like that, and keeping your diet relatively clean, and just focus on that instead of just focusing on a calorie deficit. Focus on eating right and eating the right foods, and then when you start to build muscle, you will start to see a change because you're going to eat the right foods. Now, a lot of these right foods are going to have a higher protein content, and the protein, actually, even though this is very minimal, it's going to have a higher thermic effect of food, which means it requires more caloric need, more energy to break these foods down, convert them into your amino acids to build the muscle. It's all a big process, but that is what's going to boost your metabolism. Not like some special fruit from Uganda or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Eating the right foods is what's going to boost your metabolism, along with higher protein and being anabolic and putting in more muscle mass. Once we've built some muscle mass and we've got stronger, you will start to feel better, and you will start to move better. Once we've built some muscle mass and we're anabolic and we've got a bit of a boost in metabolism, we can start looking at maybe reducing some foods and calories to try and trim a little bit of the excess body fat, okay? So these are the absolute bare bones of what you should be doing to actually increase your metabolism. It's very simple. Eat the right foods, which are higher protein, clean, and less processed. You should be trying to be in an anabolic state, meaning you should be trying to build more muscle, because if you're in a calorie deficit, that means you're catabolic, which means eventually it's going to lower that metabolism down, all right? Eating more food and actually having a higher caloric need is actually going to put you at a higher metabolic rate. Just something to consider. Again, eating the right proteins and stuff like that, and eating clean proteins, higher thermic effect of food, and then increasing just your daily activities. Like I said at the start of the video, majority of your calories burned, 80% of them at least, are just what is generally used just to keep your body functioning, moving up and down and stuff like that. Find a way to add in little bits of extra movements during the day to try and increase your metabolism that way. So that is it for this video. If you have any questions, or if you found this helpful in any way, please drop a like, drop a subscribe, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you've got any really good comments and really good questions, I will make extra videos on those as well. All right, so thank you for watching, I really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys in the next one.